Well, I've been kicked out of my near every bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired from my last job. Hot-wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Beat my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Good old boys, we're all the same. Ain't no way we'll ever change. Ain't no harm by the things we do, or the trouble that we get into. Other than a while, every once in a while, we can't help it, it's just our style.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Forgot to push a button. There we go.
You had one job.
I know I pushed the wrong camera button. That's all right. Or input, output button, whatever it is. Let's see who's on the podium this morning. Stephanie Conti, Ricky King, Scott Tomko, the first three in this morning. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks for tuning in on Magic, Facebook, YouTube. If you're checking in on the social media platforms, like or follow, subscribe. Make sure you get the notifications every morning and join us. Make plans to join us every morning. Lots to get to this morning. First up, the Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed. Stop on by for all you need for your home, your ranch, your gardens, your pets, your pests, any critter that you have kicking around. Deerland can take care of them one way or another, depending on your point of view to those critters. 71 degrees, heading to a high today at 91. Slight chance of rain. Let's see if it materializes like it did yesterday afternoon with some pop-up thunderstorms that rocked parts of Victoria pretty good. A lot of interesting lightning shows in the area. We're going to talk with meteorologist Chris Martz at the bottom of the hour, so looking forward to that conversation. Daniel Wade White checking in, Ryan Hopping, Judge Posey, good morning, Mark Kurtz, Scott Snow, Greg Garcia, Justin Glass, Bobby Leister, Rena Scherer, good morning, Marina, Marvin Mickish, Heather Stewart, Linda Chris, Junior Samples, Crystal Mapp. The commander is here.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
So, Astros, let's just start there. Astros lose to the Cleveland Guardians. I have to catch myself. I still want to call them the Cleveland Indians. They lose 4-2. Indians sweep that series. Guardians sweep the series 3 games. A 3-game series with that 4-2 win yesterday. Astros off today. They will take on the Rangers beginning tomorrow for a weekend set. The last home games before the All-Star break, and maybe that's where the Astros are in All-Star break mode early. One thing that I noticed in all 3 games, they fell behind early and could never climb back into it. So they've got to right that ship. Starting pitching, not as good as it's been. Hunter Brown struggled game before last, just not where it needs to be with the 3rd best record in the majors, but we can't really complain too much. They've been on a pretty good run and still lead the AL West.
Are we still playing baseball?
We are.
Is that not over yet?
Not yet, no. Still got a few months to go.
That's good.
6.5 game lead over Seattle, so not bad, but let's see, Detroit and the Dodgers, the only teams in the major leagues with better records. The Dodgers have now been swept in 2 straight series, so they're struggling, but doesn't really impact the Astros at all. Gilbert Ramon, good morning. Andrew Alvarez, Randy Langston. But if you're a baseball fan, thank First State Bank of Louise for bringing the Astros update every single morning and the hockey half minute when time calls for it. I don't know if you caught this. This was really, really cool and not as close a play as I expected when I saw the headlines that the Giants walked it off the other night against the Phillies with a walk-off inside the park home run.
Right.
I thought, and it was hit by the catcher,
Mr. Bailey.
Patrick Bailey. So I thought, wow, he's going to be diving into home and it's going to be close. Well, he crushed a ball to the deepest part of, I don't even know what they call that anymore. And it's not Candlestick. It used to be Pac, I think one of the Pacs. Pac Bell, Pacific Bell Park or whatever. I don't even know. But anyway, he hit it off the wall and then it caromed and went down the warning track. And
they were at Giants, right?
Yeah.
It's MetLife Stadium.
MetLife Stadium.
You were real close.
Yeah, wow. I was trying to think of the old
right.
stadium name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think there's a few MetLifes around.
I
Mark
think so.
Zapata, good morning. But anyway, this ball hit the wall in right center and then caromed to left field. And I mean, he just hit the warning track and just took off. And Bailey just rounded second, rounded third. And I don't think I've ever seen a guy hit an inside the park home run that crossed home plate in a full stride standing up ever. But it's still an exciting play because they just don't happen very often. I believe it's the first inside the park walk-off home run in like 100 years in the majors. And he's one of very few catchers to get it done. So Pretty cool play. If you haven't seen it, it's all over the YouTubes. Go check it out. There's Monty Howard, Christy Thurman. So the city of Victoria issuing a boil water notice yesterday due to low chlorine levels in the city's water supply. Texas Commission on Environmental Quality tested the city's water on July 9th, so yesterday, and the residual chlorine level was at 0.3 parts per million, I'm guessing that is, below the 0.0 or 0.5 parts per million required by the TCEQ. That's a lot of gobbledygook that people probably don't understand. They tested water in the area of Stockbauer Drive and Meori Lane. This is straight from the city's press release. And they did note that chlorine levels can vary throughout the water system, but because the city's water system is interconnected, the city issued a boil water notice yesterday. And so, but they also said that water that was taken from the city system prior to the boil water notice is safe to drink.
What?
That's what it says here.
How does that work?
Well, glad you asked that question. This is because the boil water notice was issued before the low chlorine level could lead to potential health issues. But isn't it possible that the low chlorine level was
there before you knew it?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Like if the tree falls in the woods? Yeah.
If water is accidentally consumed, residents should drink plenty of clean water and then inform their physician if feeling sick. Boil water notice will be lifted once the city's residual chlorine level rises to 0.5 parts per million. And when a test of the city's water confirms that the system is in compliance, that testing process takes at least 24 hours.
So next March. Got it.
Yeah. Water for drinking, cooking, and ice making should be brought to a rigorous rolling boil and then boiled for 2 minutes before consumption. I did that this morning with my coffee. I boiled the water that needed to be boiled for my coffee, boiled it for like at least 2 minutes and probably stronger than I thought because I actually let it boil longer than 2 minutes. And so I had some evaporation. They're asking you also to use boiled water or bottled water when brushing your teeth, shower, and bathing is okay as long as water doesn't enter the eyes, nose, or mouth.
As long as it doesn't touch your skin, you're fine. But yeah, go ahead. It's good.
Yeah. Boiling ice cubes is an art that Scott Tomko hasn't mastered yet. Scott Tomko also says they had one job.
Right.
You know, that's the conversations I had last night with people when we were discussing this. That was kind of the sentiment. Decreased consumption and increased temperatures is what they say. Good morning, Will Vincent. We're huge in San Antonio this morning, big in the YYC.
Just seems like somebody should have been testing that occasionally.
Yeah, it doesn't seems like they're You know, their little pipette that's dripping chlorine into the system ain't working properly.
Right.
Ain't on a heavy enough flow, I guess. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. I was drinking water. I was drinking that water all day yesterday.
It's been nice knowing you. This is the one reason it's nice to have your own well occasionally.
Yeah. 3 people have died after, once again, what they're calling historic flash flooding, this time in Ruidoso, New Mexico. 2.5 inches of rain triggered a runoff in the Rio Ruidoso, causing waters to rise roughly 20 feet, the highest since 1978. Water there rose 19 feet in less than an hour. 85 people rescued, at least 85 people rescued. The video was, I think the video was scarier than what we saw at Kerrville with the way the narrow canyon and the homes that were vehicles being rushed away. It was pretty interesting stuff, but thankfully and we're going to talk with Chris Martz and because you know the climate alarmist, Bill Nye was on CNN yesterday just spewing his garbage. And I want to talk with Chris about that to see if he got a chance to see that, because it's just, they're up in arms. They're all over the place. And you know, this is going to be, the climate alarmists are going to try and tie these two events together. And I'm not sure if you can. X, formerly known as Twitter CEO, Linda Yaccarino, stepping down after 2 years.
I've had it with his crap.
Oh, PR gaffes, and I guess Threads is posing some threat to X, and another one that CNN says is called Blue Sky. I've never heard of them. Funny how they don't mention Truth Social. It's Donald Trump's, I guess. That's why.
We're not talking about him anymore.
No. CNN just completely out of touch with their take on Ketanji Brown Jackson. Listen to how they frame this one up. There's Matt Boucher checking in. Lisa Bulls says parts of North Carolina flooding as well. Brent Carter says better waters in Mexico than what's in Victoria right now.
Wait, are we still talking to him? I thought we kicked him off the show.
Andrew Alvarez says he has plenty of chlorine available that he uses for pressure washing if the city needs some. Jared McGrugan checking in.
You know a guy.
So here's what CNN had to say regarding the Supreme Court, the current Supreme Court session. 2 trends have emerged at the Supreme Court in recent weeks. President Donald Trump's on a winning streak, and Ketanji Brown Jackson, the junior most justice, is having none of it. She has emerged as the court's leading dissenter. They seem to leave out the fact that while she may be the court's leading dissenter, she's also the court's biggest idiot. Her own left-leaning brother and sister justices don't even agree with her and have called her out. And is Donald Trump really winning, or is the country and the Constitution the winners here? But this coming from the same network that had Bill Nye on yesterday, claiming that he's the climate expert and knows everything about the climate and trying to weaponize and weatherize and weather warfare what happened in Kerrville and Kerr County and up in the hill country. So
did you know that Bill Nye, before he was a TV guy, was a mechanical engineer?
Yes.
So obviously
that's his science background.
Obviously he would know everything about climate change.
Yeah. Monty Howard says Blue Skies is a Democrat lefty social media safe space. There we go. Junior Sample says just mix Tito's and water and your problem solved.
I thought we took Junior down to Durham feed.
Greg Garcia says, when isn't CNN out of touch? Wow, they should prove that they are every single day. Andrew Alvarez says Grok, X's AI platform, was having anti-Semitic Jew hateful conversations. Yeah, I heard a little bit about this. Once again, here's the problem with all AI. It's artificial intelligence, but it's, need to find out who is putting the information in to get it there, right? Because it's garbage in, garbage out. Speaking of garbage in, garbage out, White Trash Services
was terrible.
You put it in, they'll take it out. They'll haul it off for you every single week. Weekly trash pickup in Victoria County and all the contiguous counties. White Trash has you covered. If you have more refuse, you need a larger dumpster, they can provide that. Come pick it up weekly as well. They've got roll-offs for demolition. And if you don't want to do the demolition work yourself, White Trash Site Services will get it done. Chesnick Furniture Company. Bobby Leon and the gang will outfit any room in your home with furniture, appliances, bedding, all the accoutrement. Already missed his cue. I was leaving it to that, but he didn't do it.
I can't actually say that word. I knew it was coming, but I was like, I'm not getting that out.
Paravita Wellness, get in, get healthy. I mean, here's something we didn't even think about. How does this boil water notice affect all the restaurants? You said you tried to get a coffee this morning and one
it was closed.
Starbucks on the north side of town was closed. It's usually open at that time of day.
Yes, sir. I talked to Erica already this morning for us, and she's open and she's got hot drinks, and they're going to go buy some ice from a vendor so that way they have ice. And both of her locations, Vita and Paravita, are open and ready to serve you.
There you go. So good to know. Veracruz Restaurant, get in there today. Post called a Wednesday. Let's see. The chopping block has the fillets. If they still have any left, they are on sale. And unfortunately, you missed Wacky Wing Wednesday yesterday, but let's see what else. The spiced ham that used to be at Dick's is now available at the chopping block. So all you former Dick's spiced ham fans, they're now carrying it at Dick's, and they're still on the hunt for the elusive Longhorn cheese. So there you go.
Okay, what is spiced ham?
You're going to have to go try it to find out. I can't.
I thought maybe that was a Canadian thing.
No.
Or a Christmas thing.
But you know what? I see pictures of it, and it looks like something that they would have had in town. Somebody's asking about olive loaf. Remember the macaroni and cheese loaf? Do you remember that one?
No.
It was like a sandwich meat, similar to like bologna, but it had bits of macaroni and cheese in it.
Oh.
Yeah. It's really good stuff. Maybe that was a Canadian thing. I'm guessing my cousin Jarrett remembers that one. At one point, that was all we could afford because we were born in Tupelo, Mississippi. Ryan Hoppy says Bill Nye is interesting to listen to, regardless how you feel about him. Yeah, except in this. Brent says he'll be back to help Cody.
You think we can get the studio moved tonight?
Maybe, hopefully. We'll work on it. So I asked Grok because I was curious, or not Grok, I asked ChatGPT because I was curious as to what Elon Musk's America Party stands for. And according to ChatGPT, fiscal conservatism and deficit reduction, Because all I've really heard is Elon's trying to make this party appeal to the centrists, the 80% of the country that is more to the middle than the extremes of the political spectrum. But I don't know how you're going to get the middle when you're fiscally conservative, because even the most centrist Democrats that I know don't really believe in less government spending. They don't want the government entitlements to end. They don't want able-bodied people to get off welfare. They don't want people making enough income to get off Medicaid. Because if they did, they wouldn't be rallying against the reforms in the big, beautiful bill. So I don't see that happening. It should and it could, but I don't see it, even though it would be best. And the deficit reduction as well. Government deregulation, again. I think you're going to have those that are more center to the right. That would be for less government, but those who are in the middle, I think they want the government to tell them what to do. They're afraid to make decisions on their own because they don't want to be held responsible for the consequences of those decisions. Musk envisions a forward-looking military enhanced by AI and robotics. The platform includes measures to encourage higher birth rates. That alone, I don't know how you're going to get there. There's too many in that 80% that he claims are in favor of a new party that believe in abortion and would never not give up that right. I mean, what's the latest number? 1 million babies aborted every year in this country? Years, we've got all the illegals replaced. If you don't have an abortion, it's pure math.
We don't have time for math. No, we
don't. There'd be no math. But I don't know. Does this platform, to me, this platform takes away from the Republican Party more than it does the Democrat Party? And is that his goal? Is to, he's stated that he thinks there's too much power within the two parties. But do you think if Joe Biden or if Kamala Harris would have been elected last November, do you think his party would have come out with a little bit more center left policies to try to appeal to them?
No,
because this doesn't seem very centrist to me. Although I do agree, I think government spending is out of control and we need to reduce the deficit. But I just don't see that being something that, Emmett Alvarez might be the lone Democrat on that side of the house that believes in that. And maybe this appeals to the independents that have walked away from the Democrat Party in recent years. I don't know. But to me, if you're going to introduce a third party and a party with these are your major platforms, I think you end up with Democrats always being the party in the majority status, even though they may not have a true majority. They may have more members elected. And then you've got the America Party and the Republican Party having to work out a coalition to get things done or oppose things. Andrew Alvarez says people forget that Elon Musk is not a Republican. He's actually left of center. Yeah, probably politically he is, but I think more aptly he's an opportunist. He sees an opportunity here with a party that I think, when he says is a little bit more centrist. But I don't know that he's going to be able to get this party off the ground, to be honest. Should have asked ChatGPT what it takes to launch an official federal party, but I would think you've got to have delegates in every state. I would think it's going to be a huge lift just to try to get somebody on the ballot.
Well, and you said you had looked at Grok, and Twitter or X owns Grok now. So
I didn't look at Grok. I looked at ChatGPT. I wanted an unbiased AI opinion.
I'm sure they're all unbiased.
Yeah. Garbage in, garbage out, right?
Something like that.
Adam Daughtry, good morning, Monty. Howard says third parties were only really successful when the Republicans formed in the 1850s, pushing the Whigs out of power. But is that really a successful third party when all you do is replace the Whigs with the Republicans and you end up with a two-party system again? I guess if that was the Whigs or the Republicans' goal was to push out the Whigs, then yes, it was successful, but it certainly wasn't successful in trying to create more party options. Andrew Alvarez says, if I'm not mistaken, you really just need to file with the FEC for a party. How would that affect the Electoral College? Which presidential candidate gets the electoral votes from a state that goes purple, for lack of another color? I don't know. If he's trying to be a centrist, that let's call it purple for now.
Yeah. Seems like it opens a whole lot more questions than it does solve problems.
Yeah.
But what do we know?
That's what we're trying to figure out, right? Still a couple of days left in Amazon's Prime Day deals. Remember when Prime Day was one day? Now it's like almost the entire week. And right. I don't know that the deals are that great, to be honest. I've been perusing just to see if I can find something that's a bit of a steal. And I mean, the best deal I've seen is I've got a little Bose speaker that's pretty cool, and it's on for $100, which is about $50 off. That's it. But I bet you if you wait till closer to Christmas, you'll get it again for that. Actually, I think last year someone did an analysis and the Prime Day deals were actually better than the Black Friday deals on Amazon. So I guess if you're interested in Prime Day, this may be the time to actually save more money and get your Christmas shopping done even earlier. CNN reporting this morning that the Secret Service agents who were involved in securing the 2024 rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, when the assassination attempt almost claimed the life of President Donald Trump, did claim the life of one rally goer. Well, apparently those Secret Service agents have been suspended. Several agents at the service's Pittsburgh field office, along with one agent on Trump's detail that day and a counter sniper, were all issued suspensions ranging from a few weeks to over a month. Congressional and federal investigations found multiple failures that day, including communication breakdowns with local police who spotted the shooter and confronted him on the nearby rooftop. And the FBI now investigating we talked a little bit about this yesterday. I didn't get into the details because it was breaking as we were going off the air, but former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey under investigation for basically, I like how CNN frames this, possible false statements to Congress. So basically they lied to Congress.
Nothing happening over here. Don't
Nope.
look over here.
But yeah, they didn't lie to Congress. They just allegedly made false statements to Congress. Brendan says nobody's reached out to him when CNN asked him about the investigation. Comey declined to comment. Current CIA Director John Ratcliffe review that he released last week criticized the 2016 U.S. intelligence community assessment that found that Russian President Vladimir Putin sought to intervene in the election. Ratcliffe's review did not dispute that finding that Putin preferred Trump to then Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. But you'll remember that Comey was the one that signed off on all the FISA warrants, I believe, right? That we've since found out were bought and paid for lies. Chris Price, good morning. State Representative Asia Louderback. There's James Kurth checking in. Wendy Howard says the Electoral College would go into multiple votes to get an electoral majority. The electors would become free to vote their preferences, or it would go to the House. He says it's happened at least a couple of times. Ricky King says, I thought there were already 3 parties. Wouldn't this make it a 4th? Well, yeah, I guess there's actually already 4 or 5 anyway. If you've got the Libertarian Party, which really doesn't. Who was the last Libertarian to run? Was that Perot as an independent for the White House? Or did he align with that party or just run as an independent? And then I guess you've got the Green Party, but they don't really, they run candidates, but I don't recall the last time anyone has even made a serious effort from any of those parties. Maybe locally they get a little bit of traction up in the East Coast and West Coast, maybe.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the answer for you, but
I know Jo Jorgensen ran, I think this last time she was a Libertarian candidate, but I'm trying to think. I just can't remember if Ross Perot ran as a Libertarian or as an independent back when he ran for president. That's all I'm trying to get at. Seeing Chris Price check in, want to remind everybody there's a Victoria Senior East Little League, Texas East Senior Little League state champs. The Victoria team are going to have a barbecue plate fundraiser at Atzenhofer. $10 donation tickets. That gets you your ticket. They're selling 500 of them. It's taking place on July 15th. Pickup begins at 4:30 that afternoon. It's a pork chop plate with all the fixins. Go check out Victoria Seniors Facebook page. They've got all the information there for you.
Ross Perot ran as an independent.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate the fact check.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of fact checking, they'll fact check you at Palace Bingo when you call bingo and you don't have one. They'll verify that gaffe unless it's so egregiously obvious or obviously egregious. Then they won't even bother. They'll just laugh at you. But we'll be back there on the 24th of this month. Looking forward to Palace Bingo. Wade and Carter night at Palace Bingo. In between now and then, you can get to Palace Bingo anytime. I saw a bunch of cars there yesterday afternoon, so they must have a nooner at Wednesdays, so check that out. I know they've got like night bingo on the weekends, 11:30 at night they start. Who can stay up that late anymore? Cody shaking his head, not him.
No one.
USA Concrete Coatings, for all your transformations of your drab slab into something slabulous, give USA Concrete Coatings a call. It says we're still trying to get Cali clearance. I don't know if that's to re-enter Palace Bingo, or just so she can play again? It might be. Allen's Wrecker Service for all your wrecker needs. Unfortunately, if you need one, I saw my buddy Mike Blaschke had a blowout on his trailer yesterday, real close to home, but didn't need anybody, got it changed. But if you have a blowout, Allen's can, whether it's a trailer, whether it's your vehicle, big rigs, little rigs, smart cars, Allen's can tow them all. And then take them over to Atzenhofer, where they'll service every make and model out there. Plus, you can also buy a new Chevrolet, Mitsubishi, or any pre-owned model that Atzenhofer has on the lot. And Went Services for all your electrical needs, backup generator needs. You know that hurricane season is here. Although the Atlantic forecast doesn't show any sorts of signs of formation in the next few days, but you want to be prepared. Get a whole home backup generator from Went, your one-stop shop. They will get it for you, deliver it, install it, make sure it's ready to go. You can buy it somewhere else, but then you've got to do all the legwork to find somebody to hook it up. Get the propane or gas connection hooked up, because you need a certified plumber to do that. Went's got everybody you need to get it done. So Scott Tomko says, can't you just pick up that smart car and walk it home? Yeah, more or less. Waiting on Chris Martz to call. Haven't seen him yet.
He's not calling.
Nvidia becoming the first company ever to surpass $4 trillion in market value yesterday. I mean, I don't even know what that means anymore. Share value and everything else, I guess, outstanding shares.
I was going to explain to you what Nvidia was, and then I was like, wait, that's not what he's asking.
No, I know they're a chip maker.
Right.
They're big. Remember when Intel was the one? Then AMD tried to come along, and for a while there, gamers were all like, oh, I need the latest AMD chip, or I'm not a good gamer. Now Nvidia seems to be the one. Shares yesterday reached an all-time high of $164 each. Seems that Nvidia is large in the AI space. They were sort of a graphics processing.
They were,
when they
yeah,
first started,
originally.
right? It's right there in the name, right? Almost. Nvidia. Clever name. But yeah, they're the ones running all the AI components for Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet. So there you go. They're in bed with all those big companies. Think about this. 2 years ago, their valuation was $600 billion. I mean, that's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. We're sitting here going, oh, the Cowboys are worth 20. But they've gone from 600 billion to 4 trillion in 2 years.
Guess once you have 600 billion, you know, why not just take another couple steps?
Now I want to see where their stock was 2 years ago. That'll be interesting. A year ago, their stock was at $86. So it's doubled in a year.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if you'd have gone in April of this year, you could have got it at $100 a share. Now it's up over 160, 162 this morning.
So now's the time to buy, you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Buy while it's expensive, you sell when it's cheap. Got it.
2 years ago to the day, you could have bought Nvidia for $42 a share. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. B Small says he's still trying to compute his valuation. Ross Perot eventually formed the Reform Party. I remember that, Jonathan Williams. Linda Chris says she liked him. His money ideas were great. I think we would be where we would be right now as a country if we followed the lead of Ross Perot. I think he's the one that kind of gave rise to Ron Paul. I'm not sure that without Ross Perot, you would have had Ron Paul being elected. Ross Small says he may go public. Jump on. Yeah. What do you make of this, folks? Medical associations representing hundreds of thousands of doctors and scientists are now suing RFK Jr., as well as the heads of the FDA, NIH, CDC, for limiting who can get COVID-19 vaccines and for here's the one. How do you prove they've undermined overall vaccine confidence? Because I'm thinking that confidence in vaccines, especially, has waned because of the COVID vaccine. I don't think there were that many skeptics until COVID. It's my perception. I may be wrong on this. The lawsuit filed in U.S. District Court in Massachusetts was brought by the American Academy of Pediatrics, American College of Physicians, American Public Health Association, Infectious Diseases Society of America. I didn't even know there was such a thing. How do infectious diseases form their own society? That's what I'd like to know. Those are some pretty darn talented infectious diseases if they can do that. Massachusetts Public Health Association, the Society for Maternal Fetal Medicine, and one unnamed doctor who's pregnant and fears she will be unable to get the COVID-19 vaccine. And the lead counsel for the plaintiff said, our clients are not litigious in nature. They don't want to be in court, and certainly we don't like that we're in this position of having to sue the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Then why are you suing if you don't like to sue them? According to CNN, it seems the crux of their position is the statement back in May in which RFK Jr. said the COVID-19 vaccine would no longer be recommended for pregnant people and healthy children on the CDC's immunization schedule. Well, doesn't that mean you still can go get it if you want it just because it's not recommended?
Impossible.
Here's what I think the problem is. I'm wondering if it's no longer recommended, does insurance no longer cover it? So it's really not about your health. It's about the fact that I want this vaccine as long as it's free. But now that my insurance won't cover it and I've got to pay for it out of pocket, I don't know. It's interesting. Last month, in the first meeting of the newly appointed Committee on Immunization Practices, they said they would study the well-established vaccines and guidelines, childhood and adolescent immunization schedules, and the vaccines for mumps, measles, rubella, and chickenpox. Isn't it a good thing to review some of these things over time? I mean, I got the MMR vaccine as a kid, and I remember getting all the boosters or updates or whatever you had to get. Guess what? I still ended up with measles. I got chickenpox.
They have those in Canada?
Yes, they do. They call them poulet pox.
Oh. Very forward thinking.
Yes. My brother got mumps. I don't know anybody that got rubella. That's the German measles. Yeah, I don't know anybody that got German measles. But I don't know. I mean, if kids are still getting measles and mumps and chickenpox and these when they're vaccinated, then maybe it is time to review them. Maybe they're not as effective as they tell you that they are. But then they always go to that typical fallback, right? Well, there's always somebody that's going to get them. Vaccine didn't work properly. And the fear mongering continues. New York, I think it was the New York Times, or maybe it was Times and CNN the other day, talking about the measles cases in the country. 37 states now have reported measles cases. I don't even think we've broken the 2,000 mark in measles cases, but that's a 25-year high in the number of reported measles cases. 92%, if I remember the data correctly, for those that are either unvaccinated or their vaccination status was unsure. So they don't remember ever getting the vaccine, or it's been so many years they don't remember. I think there's been 3 people who have died, which is right within the expected amount of deaths with the number of measles cases that we have in this country. We've got 330 million people in this country. We have 2,000 cases of measles. I'm hard to start jumping on the pandemic bandwagon. And I think the majority of those in that one Texas enclave where a lot of the people aren't vaccinated because of their religious beliefs.
Is that Waco?
No, they just get shot and burned for their religious beliefs by the FBI, remember?
Oh, right.
Money Howard says the death jab never should have been free. Brent Carter says, always trust those who came before you. Use the leeches. We're just going to put a little cut in your arm here and let out some blood.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, then you'll be good as new. Here, just bite this bullet because we don't have anything to dull the pain at the moment. Maybe this stick of wood will be a little softer for your teeth. Wow, we can't give you that because your teeth are made of wood. Andrew Alvarez says medical technology is just like any other technology. It should be periodically tested and upgraded as needs demand.
Sounds like the chlorine system in the
It does.
Victoria water. See how we bring it all back to the same place?
Yeah. All the problems in this country started in Victoria because of our boil water notices issued yesterday. You think our guest is having second thoughts?
I think he stood
Do you think he's still sleeping?
I hate to tell you this. I don't think he's coming.
Should I call him? I'm going to call him.
Well, at this point, though, you only got 10 minutes.
Well, that's true, and it's going to be a longer conversation.
Right.
Than that, so
You can't solve all of the issues in
No.
10 minutes.
come back. We texted. He said, "Do it." I gave him the number to call.
Did you give him Brent's number?
No, I didn't. I gave him.
that's
I
good.
gave him this number. Said he was looking forward to the call. I texted him at 7:32 saying, "Hey, we're ready." Brent Carter says, "I missed the first segment. Who dropped the ball in the water?" We don't know yet. Whoever was in charge of ensuring that our chlorine was in at 0.5 parts per million. And he asked, how does that happen? That's the other question we asked too, because it's not related to the flooding, but they're blaming lower consumption and higher temperatures.
Do we want to talk about Biden's doctor?
Oh, I forgot about this one.
I know. It's pretty good. Biden's doctor from his time in the White House, when asked if he lied about his mental health, refuses to answer and pleads the fifth in court. I don't know. You always seem to plead the fifth when you got something to hide.
Yeah. Yeah, that one is interesting. I forgot all about that one. That's a good one. Let me try to find that headline here real quick.
I just like to bring value to our show
No,
about
no,
once a quarter.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Every once in a while, you do bring some value, and there it is today.
House Republicans, led by Representative James Comer, subpoenaed O'Connor in June, ordering him to testify as part of the investigation into the cover-up of President Joe Biden's cognitive decline. This is on Newsweek, but it was on all the major outlets as well.
Shouldn't he lose his medical license?
Something ought to happen if you're not willing to do your part and testify, it seems like.
Closed door interview.
I don't know. At minimum, it looks suspicious. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right, I'm just carry on for a second here, Cody. I'm just conversing with our guest, and we're going to try to reschedule for tomorrow. So confirmed 7:30. He had something pop up. He apologized.
Gotcha.
So,
I'm on the air now.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. No, that's you. It's all you right now. So, yeah.
I don't know. I
Should've
kind of
warned
like to our guests. What do they think about this? Is this a big deal, or is this just more of the same? And why even talk about it?
Patient privilege is all politics about AutoPen. Yeah, but I think, but here's where the patient privilege, and I get the doctor patient privilege, but when the doctor is out there telling the American people that Joe Biden is in perfect health to lead this country, I think your doctor patient privilege at that point is out the window. Because you've just lied about it. Christy Thurman says, I think his medical report is lying next to Epstein's list.
Right. I mean, I guess that, trying to think from the other side, I guess there's always the level of you want the president to seem competent because you want the people to feel like the president is competent. But I feel like we might have already been past that point.
Well, that was the thing. I think everybody knew that this president wasn't competent, except those on the left who excused his behavior. You know, most people only fall walking up the steps when they're drunk.
Well,
but I mean, and yeah, I agree. You want the president of the United States to seem competent or appear competent, but you know, they were telling us, oh yeah, he's in great physical health, mental health. And then we'd see him go off on a tangent about corn pop and rubbing kids' legs or having kids rub his legs and mumble and stumble. Oh, he's got a stuttering problem. Funny, he never had a stuttering problem when he was cognizant in Congress and in the Senate. There'd never been one mention of a stuttering problem until his cognitive disabilities became apparent. Then he had stuttering problems. He didn't have dementia. Now we find out he wasn't there at all. His faculties were gone. Michelle Wilson Hawkins says they excused his behavior, then they turned around and made a profit on him by stabbing him in the back by selling books. Absolutely. But yeah, anybody who's claiming that this guy has doctor-patient privilege, that's out the door when he comes out there to tell the world that the president of the United States has a perfect bill of health. Were you ever told to lie about the president's health? He pleaded the fifth on that question. The second question, did you ever believe President Biden was unfit to execute his duty? Two questions that House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer had for Dr. Kevin O'Connor. And again, he pleaded the fifth. What's he afraid of at this point? Is he afraid that Hillary Clinton's going to come out of the woodwork and suicide him with 2 to the back of the head? Is he going to lose his practice because he refuses to answer these questions? The doctor's lawyer said O'Connor's refusal to answer the questions on Fifth Amendment grounds was not an admission of guilt, but rather a response to what they saw as an unprecedented investigatory scope that could have violated the bounds of patient-physician privilege. Hogwash. They didn't ask you what was wrong with them. Comer asked him, were you ever told to lie about the president's health? How is that doctor-patient privilege? Did you ever believe President Biden was unfit to execute his duty? Both of these to me are yes or no questions.
Right.
Were you ever told to lie about the president's health? Yes or no?
Seems pretty straightforward.
The second one's a little bit more subjective. I mean, maybe every time he went to see Dr. O'Connor, President Biden had enough of his cocktails to keep him cognizant, like they did every time he appeared on TV. And that one, he could have said, you know what? No, that one? No, I don't believe it was unfit to execute his duty every time I saw him.
But if that's the case, then why plead the fifth? Like, just say that.
Yeah. Or lie. Apparently you're a liar. Because you couldn't answer the question from Comer about if you were ever asked to lie about his health. Peter Renalian to ask me to move on yet? I'm just curious.
I haven't even seen him today.
Linda Chris said he had a responsibility to report his inability to run the country. See, I don't know that he does. I mean, when did it become? When did the doctor of the president first start doing this? I know we're going to be out of time, and letting the American public. Was this in response to FDR and his polio issues? And the fact that he was not physically able to get around very well? I don't know. Or were they lying then to put FDR up on a pedestal that he physically couldn't get up on so that the world and the country didn't lose faith in our leadership at a time when we needed it during the war?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't imagine that back in the pre-radio or TV days that the president's doctor was sending out carrier pigeon notices telling everybody in the country that the president was in perfect health. So
I don't know. It leads us to something about tomorrow.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't know what came out there. I said it leaves us for something to talk about tomorrow. It's the chlorine. It's just the chlorine.
It's just the lack of
lack of chlorine. Sorry.
So now let's get back to that real quick. So now what happens? What if the chlorine levels in our water get too high? Then what?
And you buy anti-chlorine and put it in there.
You get some pool shock and dump it in.
That's right. Get that at Lowe's. We ought to let these fine people go. I think we've wasted enough of their time.
We are
today.
letting them go. Appreciate your patience. Sorry for the mix up with the guest, but he has something come up, but we'll work on getting him on tomorrow morning. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Glad you're all here, and we'll see you all mañana. Bye, folks.
I've been locked up for driving 120 through town.